Callum, how are you?
I'm very well, mate. Thank you for having me on.
Mate, thank you. Like this literally came out of nowhere. This was
Aye,
off the cuff, unplanned. I know we'd spoke kind of back and forward, and you're a hard guy to pin down because you're always away. But I'm buzzing that you're here. See, anytime I put a thing on any of my socials saying who do you want on, you would not believe the amount of folk that come by and be like, get that Callum abroad guy. Never just Callum. So always get that Callum abroad guy. Get him on. So I'm buzzing, mate. I need to ask you, like, how does that guy from Glasgow end up in the position of going to all these random countries and destinations, and where did it start? Where was the idea for you?
It happened during COVID.
Right.
So I was going into my final year of my nursing degree, and they told us to sit in the house, we can't go to uni, blah, blah, blah. So I'm sitting in the house for months watching travel vlogs, and then the people that were making the rules were breaking the rules, like in Parliament, and I was like, oh, stuff this, I'm packing a bag, and that was it. And I've not stopped since.
And do you ever think you go back to the nursing side yet, or are you?
Nah. I think this has got a hold of me. I think I'd like to do this like full time. I'm doing it full time now, but I can't see me. I've learned more in the last year travelling the world than what any classroom would ever teach me.
Jeez. How did you pick where you were going to go first? What was the process?
Well, the flights were limited.
Right.
And there was a flight to Cairo.
Right.
And I found there's a place in Cairo called it's called Garbage City. It's where all the Coptic Christians live. And it's apparently very dangerous. You can't go with a camera. And I thought, right, stuff it, let's go there. And that was it. I went there and sort of got chased out, and then went to in fact, during that time I went to the pyramids. Right. And at that time it was deserted because it was during COVID.
Aye.
I managed to see this, I paid this guy and he took me downstairs. He was showing me all this stuff that's off limits. And I thought, right, this is for me. And that was it.
Jeez. See, even with the first one, was there a fear factor there, or were you just like, no, I'm not bothered, I'm just going to go for it?
I mean, I wouldn't say there was a wee bit of apprehension of what could go wrong here. Do you know what I mean? But once you get that first one under your belt, it becomes, I try to explain to people, it's sort of like an addiction. You get that rush to go to these places, and it's hard to explain to people how, when you come back to Scotland and you're sitting for a week, I start to get a bit restless, and I'm thinking about all the chaos that's out there in the world, and I'm like, right, I need to go.
Because obviously, when you come back, you always put a tweet or something up saying, where can I go? And folk just lose their mind and start throwing all sorts at you.
Well, I started doing votes on Twitter and letting people decide, and so far they've sent me to Somalia, Ukraine, where else? Iraq. So there's been a few places that they've sent me, and then they'll send me a message once I get there. Oh, I can't believe you went there. I hope you're okay, bro. I was like, well, you voted for it.
But then a lot of people are probably like, he's not going to go.
A lot of
just
people
put it
think
in.
that. I had a guy send me a message, just like, I think it was a public one. Oh, this guy's talking rubbish. He's never going to go there. Blah blah blah. And then he sent me a DM privately. Right, mate, I'm so sorry for doing that publicly. I just didn't. I thought you were talking rubbish. All this sort of stuff.
So the apology's always private though. Never a public apology.
Never public.
Oh man, right. So if you going to Egypt, see at that point, were you thinking, I'm just doing this because it's something I want to do, or were you then thinking, I could make a living off of this, I could YouTube it, and where did that side of it come in?
Well, when I started putting videos up on TikTok, and I think it had like 100 million views on TikTok and stuff, and then YouTube, you get like monetized. Aye. It's not a lot of money, but once the money starts going, you go, this is quite. You're waking up every day, different locations, doing what you love, and there's money starting to drip, and you think this could work. Aye. So it beats a 95 for me.
Aye, 100%. What about your mates and all that? Because I can only imagine most people your age will be like, I might go to Spain or something in the summer, but your pals must be like, what are you doing?
Well, they'll say, you're off your head. But then once they watch the videos, they'll say, right, mate, next trip, I'm coming with you 100%. And I'll say, right, next trip's Ukraine. And they'll be like, nah, I can't, mate, I can't. Next one's Somalia, I can't, mate. So it's like, nobody's ever felt like come through with it and says, right, okay, let's do it. But I think the more people watch the travels and they realise that these places that we're not supposed to go to, the majority of people in these countries and places are just like us, just genuine people.
Well, I suppose for you as well, it's, you touched on it at the start, is that education thing, because it's things that you don't see on mainstream news, or you don't see reported.
Most of the places that I've been to recently, they're against like the British government advice that pops up, don't go there, blah blah blah. But it's like a lot of people assume that when you got off the plane at Baghdad airport that everybody's lined up want to kill you, and it's just not like that at all.
Do you get anyone, like, is MD government-wise or anything got in touch with you about your travels? Because it's widespread now, like you're on every social platform, you've been in the news, you've been in a lot of places, but has MD ever got in touch with you and went, what are you doing?
Well, my recent trip to Afghanistan, I received a Twitter message from the British Embassy in Doha.
Right.
Basically saying, oh, we're following your travels, we want you to leave immediately. And I said to him, I said, look, I gave him a call, and he's like, what's our advice? I says, well, it's not mandatory.
Yeah.
And that was it. I just says, no, it's all good. I was in Gatwick, was it Gatwick Airport? Gatwick Airport, and I'm waiting to board the flight to Islamabad.
Right.
And these two boys in blue suits come up to me and they're like, Callum, step aside. My colleague here's seen all your TikTok videos, you sure get about? And I was like, right. So who do you work for? Is it just YouTube you're doing it for? And I says, aye. And he's like, right, okay, on you go. So I sat down. 10 minutes later, the boy come back. He's like, Callum, come with me. Bring your bag. And fortunately enough, one of the fellow travellers he was with me at the time, so he can back this up. I got took into a room, and the guy's like, you must get a lot of footage, even footage that you delete and don't use in your videos. Do you know that footage could be very useful to us?
Jeez.
And I'm like, right. And he's like, would you be interested in keeping in touch with us weekly on your travels? And I says, nah. I says, it's all good. And he's like, oh, I think you do, don't you? And I was like, no. And he's like, I think you do. Give us your email and all this sort of stuff. So I'm thinking, right, give them the email, and if they send me an email, so a couple of weeks later I get an email. Hi Callum, how's the travels going? Just that was it. And I'm thinking, is that the aim or not? But that happened in Gatwick Airport. What's
going through your head at that point?
I mean, it's like you're thinking, I can't believe they've just done that, and how they operate so brazen. And it's not even that. So the guy, one of the guys that was speaking to me looked as if he was like sort of Pakistani descent or something. And I'm thinking, it just takes me to say, right, okay, let's do it. And then they radio through to Islamabad and say, by the way, we've got a spy here. You know, so it's...
it just shows you how, when you're not even aware, people are actually tracking what you're doing and seeing what you're up to, and that's insane. Because
he's like, oh, you go to places that we wouldn't go to. You must know you're the only white guy in town. That's what he was saying. I'm thinking, right, it's bizarre, because literally I'm just mooching about and showing people...
It's not like you're going there on like missions or anything. Or, jeez.
I mean, can you imagine doing that and getting caught somewhere like Afghanistan? Because I guarantee they'd probably just wash their hands with you after you say, oh.
Aye. You know? Well, I suppose it's once your usefulness to them runs out, then it doesn't make a difference, does it?
No.
Has anything like that ever put you off?
Not really, no. I mean,
no.
Recently in Pakistan, I received a message on my WhatsApp. Hi Callum, it's such and such from Special Branch. Please let us know where you're going anytime you leave the house. Didn't think much of it. The next day, I left the house in the village, and as soon as I left, the phone goes, where are you going? And I'm like, oh, that's strange.
Jeez. That's unnerving as well for you, because you're
you know they're watching you.
Aye.
I've had Special Branch turn up at the house as well in Pakistan. About 5 of them sat down, went through all my passport. It was at like 12 o'clock at night. After we'd done that, I thought, right, that's it, they're chilled. Next day I woke up and they were in the living room already.
Jeez.
Sitting waiting on me. Aye. So there's times like that you're thinking, is this worth the hassle? But you can't let it put you off, you know?
No, and I suppose, does that then affect, like, because I know when you're in places, if you're watching your videos, you do get locals that contact you and they offer to show you about and do different things, but you then worry that has an impact on stuff like that, because you're trying to learn about people in these countries and get to know them, and you've got shit like that in the background clouding it as well. It must be hard for you in that sense.
I mean, some people don't believe me when I tell them this, like, stuff like that does happen. I can see why some people would be a little bit concerned looking at my passport and saying, why has he been to all these countries? So I'm banned. I'm banned from America. I've never had a parking ticket in my life. I'm banned simply because of the countries that I've went to. So I've got a meeting.
Jeez.
I've got a meeting. I'm flying to Belgium, Brussels in 2 days to sit down with the US consulate, show them my YouTube videos, and hopefully they'll let me into the country. But I think America's got like a list of 10. It's called the Red List. If you've been to any of these countries, your ESTA visa's like cancelled basically. So hopefully they can look at the videos and say, he's not a threat. It's hard though, because it's like, it's also annoying that you can't just be like a mad traveller.
And just go and see the world. Fucking hell, man. What about there's a couple of countries I want to touch on that you've been to, but for your point of view, have you ever have you ever been in a position abroad when you've thought like, shit, I'm in a pickle here? Like, this might not work out how I think it's going to work out.
There's been a few occasions where I've thought, all right, I'm in the thick of it here. Like, Bogota, Colombia, where I had guys shouting gringo and chasing me. I had to jump into a car and get took to a local house, and they're like, don't come here again. You can't come here if you're a white guy. Jeez. There's a place called the Bronx of Bogota.
Right.
I was told not to go there, but obviously I went down, mooched about. There's in Ukraine as well. I was sitting in the balcony, next minute the missiles are flying over into Odessa. People start running the streets, and I went up to Kherson when they blew the dam up, and you're seeing all we're out looking for bodies, and they're pulling all the animals out of the water and stuff like that. Stuff like that. So it's not always like it's not always fun. But as sad as it sounds, it's also good to see it with your own eyes.
That's insane. And I suppose at points like that, it's probably the reality kicks in for you as well, because it isn't just a holiday at that point. You're seeing firsthand. So well, like Ukraine especially at this point in time, of destruction. Well,
a lot of people, I mean, you know yourself the amount of conspiracy theories and the people that some people hide behind accounts and they'll say, oh, this war's fake and this is that. See, go and have a look for yourself then, and you'll see that it's not fake at all.
Did you feel, or maybe not Ukraine, but anywhere, do you ever feel like in danger, like, for your life wise?
I mean, there's obviously like the Ukraine thing gets you a bit nervous. But there's been the only time was Bogota when they started sort of chasing me under the bridge. But there's been no time, even Afghanistan, like I've not feared for my life. I've never thought, right, this is it. It's curtains here. It's never happened, but I dare say, I mean, there's still time for it to happen, but I don't think there's been any time where I've thought seriously, right, this is it. You know, which is good, because you read off the countries that I've been to and people go, oh, stuff that. But it's not, to this point, I've never went, right, this is it.
But even the Colombia one, like, that would then put most folk off travelling.
But then again, not everybody has to go to like the Bronx or Bogota and stuff.
But as you say though, it becomes an addiction, and you do want to go and see these places. And like, who else would go on a holiday and come back and say, oh, I met some of Pablo Escobar's family and I was chilling with them, and like that's the kind of stuff that just doesn't happen.
I feel lucky with the travels, and like sort of I seem to just fall into stuff. But I mean, there's been times I've went to places and stuff's happened, and it's in Talia and at Petra. I was in Petra with my mate Alex, who I travel with. He's from Texas, and I'm sitting in this capsule hotel and I'm doing some work, and the phone goes, and Alex is like, oh, I've met this guy and that. Do you want to come out? And I was like, I says, mate, I'm busy, I can't. So about an hour later, Alex comes running in, a bit shaky. He's like, mate, we need to speak. And I'm like, right, come in. And he's like, who the f***'s that guy? And I said, I don't know. He says, you spoke to him yesterday. I says, I was just a random guy and I was talking to him. He says, anyways, the guy's like, oh, Mon will take you down, I'll show you this old ruin. Right. And Alex trusts a lot of people. Alex is like, let's go. So he's walking down there, and the guy's like, oh, Mum, we're going to play pool first. Right. He said, so I'm in this pool hall with this Jordanian guy, and instead of saying like the six ball, he's saying the sex ball, and he's like saying, oh, like he's asking Alex if he was bisexual, and Alex is like, no, I've got a girlfriend. Right. So long story short, he's like, Mum, I'll show you this old ruin. Right. He said, I went down to this bit, there's this big rock, and we went behind it, and the guy's like, I just want to hug you. And I'm like, right. I was like, first of all, I would have been like, I'm not going behind that rock. I'm out of there. So he's behind this rock, and the guy's like, oh, I just want to hug you. Can I get a hug? Alex is pretty sound. He's like, sure, mate, you can have a hug. Proceeded to hug him, and he's like, you know that way if you stretch your leg, like your leg can start to shake? He said, so this guy's hugging me. He says, he must have thought I was terrified. He says, my leg's shaking because of the angle I'm standing at. And he's hugging me, and he's like, oh, hug me stronger than that. And I'm at this point, he's sitting telling me this story shaking, and I am howling, I'm in knots. And the guy's like, oh yeah, he's like, it's okay if two men have sex and all this. And I'm like, mate, get me. So the next day, this guy walked in the shop across the road for the hotel, so he was standing there every day.
Oh, there's no escape then?
And Alex wouldn't leave until I walked down with him. Oh, so man. Stuff like that happens in like places you wouldn't think. Aye. That's just like Petra, like sort of holiday place.
I mean, who's gone behind the rock in the first place?
Well, that's what
Really?
I said. And he's like, oh, there was these two donkeys and that. He's telling me a story, and I'm howling. I'm going, oh no. But some people are very, very trusting.
Aye, true. See on that point though, see when you're in these places and you get messages for like locals and they're like, oh, I can show you X, Y, and Z. How do you know what ones that are trustworthy? And because that's a gamble as well for you.
Aye, well, it's always a gamble that you go there and the guy could be, I don't know, like have ulterior motives.
Aye.
I had a guy yesterday sent me a message on Instagram. Love your videos. If you want to come to Yemen, the airport is now open. Come to Yemen.
Right.
Had a little look through his profile. The guy looked. I mean, profiles can be deceiving,
Aye.
but it is your luck.
Aye.
It is your luck. So that something could go wrong, but so far, touch wood, everyone's been good.
Aye.
Honestly, the hospitality and the friendliness of people around the world, especially in these countries that we're not supposed to go to, is mind blowing.
Any real ones stick out for you that have like really like above and beyond kind of helped you when you've
Pakistan,
been? Aye.
Like in Pakistan, as soon as I step off the plane, it's like, oh, come to my wedding, come to my house, and I go to the village down in Azad, Kashmir. I met a guy at Islamabad airport, and he's like, oh, watch all your videos, come down, stay at my house. Went down, stayed at his house. I've been to countless weddings with him now. So the hospitality, in my opinion, has been number one in Pakistan.
That's mental if you're just kicking about Islamabad airport and folk are like, I've seen all your videos.
Oh, it's crazy. The places I've been in, people are like, you're that guy. And I'm like, aye. Just like, you don't know what to say. It's like, obviously it's nice, but at the same time, that's weird. Like people for different countries know who you are, but hospitality literally in Pakistan is number one. So kind and generous, and you know that some of these people don't have much, and they're willing to give you anything they've got. Try to explain that to people. I honestly think the West could learn a thing or two about hospitality. And
I suppose it's that thing of you're seeing everything in the mainstream media and people are being fed by that, and they kind of make snap judgments on all these countries without having stepped foot in any of them. And you're obviously gone there speaking to people, so you're seeing it firsthand, or it isn't what the media portrays it to be.
Aye, it's like Afghanistan. Everybody's like, why would you go to Afghanistan? Why spend time with the Taliban?
Well, that was the one that I'd noticed that you were getting a lot of stick on Twitter for, the Afghanistan one, because people see Afghanistan, they just go, it's the Taliban. Like there's no, well, that's a country. Like it's not just about that. But how was that for you then?
When I first went to Afghanistan, I was nervous and a bit worried, because you go over the Khyber Pass and you cross in from Pakistan on foot. And I'm getting to the border crossing. It's like a hallway. It's like a caged hallway, and everybody's getting sort of shuffled in. They're whipping people. They're whipping women and kids. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, oh no! And somebody went to whip me, and the guy's like, oh, shouting. I'm like, oh, thank God for that British passport, right? So they put me in a wee sort of like cage thing, and two guys come up to me initially, one with a red headband and a white headband,
right?
And then they're like, oh, don't worry, what are you doing here? Are you military? Is your dad military? I'm like, no. He's like, oh, it's fine. So I ended up speaking to more of them, and I asked them about the headbands. And they were telling me that the red headbands are basically suicide bombers. They've dedicated their life to like basically die for the cause. And I'm sitting there going, ideal. He's like, oh, on the way back, you can have some tea. And I'm like, you might not be here on the way back. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's strange, because they're nice to you. They're not like the way you would think, very cold and don't like Westerners. Not like that. So it's very strange.
Because you went to the women's school as well, didn't you? When you were there.
Yeah, I went to a school that teaches housewives and kids, and they said that our husbands want us to get educated. I spoke to young Taliban members who told me the only reason they joined the Taliban is because they get $100 a month. That's it. They don't have any ill feelings towards the West. They just $100 a month.
Jeez.
And they said that they also want like women and kids to get educated. They're just scared to speak out, and that's Taliban members. So it's not like everybody who joins the Taliban are bad or want to kill you or anything. It's not like that. Or so I found it.
Yeah, and when you were speaking to Taliban members, did you discuss any of the conflict stuff or that? Or
I asked them if an ex-British soldier or American soldier wanted to come to Afghanistan now and maybe find some peace, and they say that's totally fine. Totally fine. No problems at all. Yeah. We just don't want any current military in.
Right.
Or obviously anybody come and try to take over or change their way of life. But they said they were totally fine with it. How true that is, I don't know. But I mean, people say, oh, you can only take people at face value, and they treated me perfectly well.
Yeah.
Even when they detained me at a checkpoint and took me for questioning, first thing in the military, no, right, okay, do you want some tea?
Yeah.
And just sit and asking me about Scotland, what's Scotland like, and just they seemed friendly.
Yeah. I suppose for you though, those checkpoints are probably the worrying moments, because that's when it can go
When I got
either
to that
way.
checkpoint and they stopped the car, and my fixer was like, oh, we're just, and they weren't buying it. So one of the Taliban members jumped, they told him to get in the back.
Right.
He jumped in the front, he's sitting with his AK, and he just started guiding us up this dirt road to an outhouse. That's when the questioning and stuff. But when you get to these checkpoints, they're all kitted out in American gear now, because America left so much stuff. So they look like a proper outfit. It's not like the old school Taliban you see in the 90s. They're all proper, the boots, the everything. They just look like a proper army.
Which is more worrying as well, because when the questions start coming your way, you're kind of sitting going, what answer here could start off anything, really.
I think as long as you're, I think if you started acting nervous, they would maybe pick up on that. But as long as you're confident and you know the reason you're there, and it's just to travel. That's it. I think they respect the fact that people want to come and see Afghanistan, because it is beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful countries I've ever been. It really is stunning.
And when you go, see when you come back and you put like your videos and things on, does anybody get in touch with you from the country that you've maybe you've seen or you've spoke to go, appreciate what you've done there? Or
that also flips the other way. I've also had people comment saying, get that video down.
Oh, really?
Yep. I had a really bad backlash on my Somalia videos.
Right.
People were making YouTube videos about me saying that and my if you watch my Somalia videos, they're all positive. They're positive.
Right.
But you call a spade a spade. If you're walking down a street and everyone's bombed out and it's an absolute mess, you say it how it is. But they don't like that. The backlash that I got from Somalian people was horrendous.
Jeez.
I had a Somalian guy in Glasgow. I'm going to do this to you. I says, you're not going to do anything. But it was very strange. The Somalian videos were by far the worst backlash, and it's positive videos.
And that's the thing. It's not as if you're showing the video for what it is, you're dealing in facts. You're not saying, oh,
well, that's it.
This has happened, but I'm not showing you it. Like, well, there it's there, make your own.
You're walking down the street and if it's an absolute riot, I'll just say, let's look at the state of this place. They don't like that. So that's the thing though. Some people go to countries and they'll just show positive stuff. Yeah. They'll go and eat food and they'll show the nice parts, and they'll not venture into the more the sort of more off limits sections of the cities and stuff. Yeah. I think in order to get make up the full fabric of society, you need to speak to people on both sides.
Definitely. See from your perspective when you're there, has there ever been parts that you've kind of thought about going to, and then you've looked at it and you're like, I don't know, this might be a bit too much?
Well, when I was in Somalia, I wanted to go, is it Eel or Isle, that's what you call it, and that's sort of where the main, like where the Somali pirates were originating from. There's still a couple of wee operations going on, and I wanted to go there. And my fixer's like, no, we can't. Right. And I was trying to get there, but there was nowhere that I've looked at and then I've backed out. But I think it's like anywhere. Like even I went to the site of the Black Hawk Down, right, in Somalia, and I was told do not go there, and I managed to persuade them to take me there. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people looking at me, didn't look too friendly. Aye. But so far, anywhere I've been, I've met people there that are, like I said, just like us, just want to get on in life and earn a bit of money. So that's it. I just try to explain to people that don't always read or believe what you read on the news or what you see. Negativity sells. Yeah, everything on the news is negative. You'll never see a positive video or a positive thing in the Sky News about Somalia. It's always negative. No,
but then that's designed that way, innit? It's just designed to show. I was going to ask you about Iraq as well, because that's another one that's it's designed to be shown in a negative light constantly. But how did you find it when you actually travelled?
I found the people from Iraq were completely fine. The only place in Iraq that I found a little bit intimidating was Fallujah. I was told don't go to Fallujah. I went there and I was like salam. Nobody would speak to me. Jeez. Was it the camera? Even off camera, I was trying to speak to people in the restaurant and nobody spoke to me. Right. Obviously, I don't know if you're aware of the history of Fallujah and so I think it's still quite raw.
Aye, still a lot of tension.
That was the only place in Iraq. I even travelled to Mosul. People again, they were quite shocked and surprised to see me. Aye. A tourist just walking about. I mean, the place is absolutely bombed out, stupid. Aye. But again, it's good to see it, good to speak to the people and interact with them. They were quite surprised, but they were friendly.
Aye.
I think a lot of people think that there's this ill feeling towards everybody in the West, and it's not like that.
Aye.
It really is not like that at all.
Do you get a lot of people asking you to put camera off?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes. Depending on the situation, if I'm somewhere and I think, right, okay, maybe it's not the best time, or I look at it and go, would I want to be on camera doing that? Then I can judge it. But
Aye.
I mean, if I'm walking down the city centre main street and somebody tells me to take the camera off, I'll say no.
Aye.
And we'll see what comes out. But yeah, I mean, there's been times where people have messaged me saying, mate, can you delete that video, or can you edit this and that?
Yeah.
And I made a video in Brazil, it's not on YouTube. And there was 2 guys in it, and they were armed, and there was drugs and stuff involved. And then I got a message saying, mate, it's life or death, like, get that video like off it, all internet and stuff. Stuff like that happens, and when it happens, I'll tend to say, right, okay, fine, fair enough, I don't want to get MD in trouble.
Yeah.
Which is a pain, but I mean, I can totally understand.
100%. Well, Brazil, you were in the favelas, weren't you? You ended up.
Yeah, I ended up in the favelas in Rio. Again, I met the drugs gang, spoke to them, and I mean, there's 2 ways you can go. Apparently, in the favelas, there's 2 ways you can go. You can sort of go down like is it capoeira or something like that? It's like a dance martial arts thing, or else you can go down like the drugs gangs. Right?
Aye.
Some people just choose a different path in life, and that's it. But I spoke to them, and they were friendly as well. I don't agree with what they do, but you take people as they come, and they were friendly. And
was that kind of like young kids as well? Like,
no, they were mid-20s.
Aye, like older.
Some people don't obviously have the opportunities that we have.
Yeah.
And if you've got a kid and stuff, like, you're going to do whatever it takes to actually get food on the table.
Aye. There's not a lot of career choices in.
Not in places like that. Like even my friend Gustavo, who lives in the favelas, he's basically saying, if you're in the favelas, it's hard enough. If you're black and you're in the favelas, it's really difficult to try and get a job down in Copacabana or anything like that. So for some people, that's all they've got.
Which is mental, because when you think of Brazil, some of the cities are massively like affluent and full of money, and then you're not that far from the deprivation on the other side of it, and no.
Well, that's it. I mean, I was living in a hotel down in Copacabana. 20 minutes drive, you're in the heart of the favelas, where it's just night and day, completely chalk and cheese.
That's insane. Where's the most dangerous place you've been? Or you've actually, maybe not been in direct danger yourself, but you just feel it in the air when you're there. You get a sense for it. I
mean, there's different types of danger. If you mean just a constant sort of state of, I feel a wee bit on edge here, I would say Colombia at night. As soon as the sun goes down in Colombia at night, there's a different vibe.
Just chaos.
You just feel. It just feels different. That's one place where I did feel a little bit on edge. Even just walking about. Even down in Copacabana, it was during the day. It was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I went for a McDonald's. Right, I was just having a chill day, and I'm walking down the street. I've got my phone in my hand, and I've got a McFlurry and stuff. And these two big black guys came towards me and tried to grab my phone out of my hand, and I dropped my McFlurry. I was like, for fuck's sake, man. my juice and that. And everybody's just watching me as if it was like normal.
Jeez.
But I was told that I felt safer in the favelas
than you did
than I did down in Copacabana. They don't want any trouble. The police don't really go into the favelas. They don't want any trouble in there. So there's a sort of rule, don't annoy tourists if they come in. Because they'll contact the police or whatever they might do. So I felt safer there. Copacabana, you get lots of, I'm not saying it's only criminals that live in the favelas, because it's not, because there's doctors and nurses and stuff. You get a lot of criminals from the favelas go down to Copacabana. Right. And it's like a free-for-all, like to steal off tourists and stuff. So I felt a lot more unsafe in Copacabana.
I'd be more annoyed about the McFlurry.
I was annoyed. I was raging. I was like, oh, did I go back and get another one? I just got the road. I was like, oh, stuff it.
What about, what's the most bizarre situation you've been in?
Bizarre? I'll tell you a bizarre one, right? So I was in Antalya, Turkey, so not dangerous at all. Nice holiday place. And I went out to stuff my face. And I come back and I had bags of juice and crisps and chocolate and that. And I'm walking up the stairs in this hotel. And this old Turkish guy, he's walking down and he said something. And he's walked down, so he's below me and I'm up the stairs a wee bit. And I turned round and he's pointing at me. And I'm like, what's he pointing at? And I'm like, I think he was pointing at, well, I assumed that he was pointing at the tattoos in the back of my legs. Right. So I turned round. I'm like, oh yeah, tattoos. And I turned back and he grabbed me with the nuts. And he was right face to face with me. And I'm like, hey! I'm like, no! no. And he's like, and I'm like, no. And he went to do it again. That was the start of my travels. And I'm like, I grabbed my juice, my chocolate, and running up the stairs to go back to this hotel. I was just shaking. I was like, what the fuck just happened there? They're weird.
Jeez.
So that was bizarre, but that was in Italia. Very strange.
Oh man. Go for the tattoos too.
I turned around and he just grabbed me. I got a fright in my life. I was like, whoa.
It's always when you've got scran as well.
I know, it's strange, isn't it? Strange.
Oh man. You the one that I was quite fascinated with, you went to where the Bin Laden compound.
Yes,
was
in
like
Abbottabad, Pakistan.
How do you even get into that conversation of going to see that?
I spoke to a guy. I was in Islamabad, and I was aware that there's rumours because a lot of people don't believe he actually was in the compound.
Yeah,
and I knew it was like 2 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, right, what can I do here? And I knew they had like a, what would you call it? Like a, it's Pakistan's longest chair lift.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I wonder if I go there and I'll go to the chairlift and I'll mooch about and see if I can sort of drop it into conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And on the way there, I dropped it into my driver and he's like, oh, I know exactly where it is. I know somebody that lives nearby. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
We went and I was looking at Pakistan. The Pakistani government's knocked it down now.
Yeah.
So you can still see the sort of compound.
Uh-huh.
And I spoke to some locals there and they're like, no idea he was there. No idea. And I'm like, really? And they're like, honestly, not got a clue. I don't know what to believe. That's one thing I'm a little bit... I don't know what to believe. There's people in that area who have pictures of Bin Laden in their house. So they have. It's.
But then there's other people saying they didn't know he was.
Well, that's the thing. So back then, the houses that are right next to it, if people watch the video, the houses weren't there at the time.
Yeah.
So that was sort of sitting on its own.
And I suppose at the time it was like, well, it was fenced up, wasn't it? It was like a compound.
Aye, it's proper high perimeter walls around it. But they were adamant. But again, a lot of people there said it was a load of rubbish and they wasn't even there at all. It's when you listen to people in Pakistan, people are so close, very close with their neighbours and stuff. And you think, how would you not know if you're in a place like that? Because everybody's very friendly. Yeah. And it's like, how would if he was there, surely they must have known. For me, I don't know what to believe. Aye,
because that's the one that's probably got a lot of conspiracy about. Did it actually happen? Did the government just put it out in the US to say they'd done it in?
I believe he's probably went there at a time. I just don't know if he was in. I just don't know.
Yeah, I
really don't know. But then again, it would be to make that sort of story up and let everybody believe it. It would be very hard. Like I don't see. A lot of people think they didn't kill him either because they says they buried him at sea. Yeah, nobody's seen the. Nobody, there's nothing. They say, we don't want him to, if we bury him, it may become a shrine. Yeah. But it was just like, oh, we got him, oh, we've killed him. Aye. He's gone. You're like, no proof at all, zero proof. Yeah. And I think they would have released a picture or 100%. Something. Yeah. But there's no proof at all. Well, they've done it with the whole Saddam Hussein thing. There was pictures, there was videos, there was all sorts of stuff. The news. Aye. Whereas with that, you'd think that would have the same sort of, given like the reputation of Bin Laden at that time and the heightened awareness. Yeah, it was a bit strange that it was just like, no, that's us, we'll go. Aye, consider how high profile Saddam Hussein's was. Yeah. And Saddam Hussein didn't have any weapons of mass destruction. Mm-hmm. And Osama Bin Laden he took responsibility for 9/11. Mm-hmm. So you would think they would have made his a lot more public. Yeah. So it's strange. Aye, definitely. For you though, I suppose you see that. What's the kind of, I'm interested about the kind of US views of your videos because they have a very tunnel vision view of the media and how Iraq and Afghanistan, etc. are perceived. But do you get any feedback from Americans on it? I mean, I do get comments and stuff. It's like when I took Alex to Pakistan as well, and a couple of people would joke with him saying, "Oh, we don't like yous here. We don't like your country," all this sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. But honestly, the way people think the West, there's this ill feeling towards Americans. There may be some ill feelings towards the government. Yeah. But not to just your average Joe Blogs. Yeah. It's not like that at all. Mm-hmm. That's what I try and explain to people, that they hate us, so we should hate them. It's not like that at all. That's mental with the whole
like youngsters join the Taliban, but then when you look at it from a monetary point of view,
That's it. A lot of them come from the mountains.
aye,
And if you're getting $100 a month to stand at a checkpoint or whatever, then
goes a
so
long
be it.
way,
They're going to do
$100.
it. But then we would automatically think he's Taliban or he wants to kill me, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's just
well, the equivalent to $100 over there to here, that's huge.
well, $100 is good money over there.
Aye. Jeez.
So there's two ways to look at things, and like I says, I spent time with them. I had tea with them. We're just chatting about life.
Aye. Did your perceptions change of these places before you'd went to them and you'd like obviously met people and spoke to people, and did you come away thinking, do you know what, I feel a bit differently about these places?
Well, the first place I ever went to that was sort of against government advice was Syria.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're driving into Syria, it's just totally bombed out.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get to Damascus, there's pubs,
Yeah.
there's nightclubs, there's girls in them with like short dresses. The way just like the West,
right here.
people would automatically think somewhere like Damascus is completely like strict and
Mm-hmm.
there've been old pubs and stuff there. It's complete opposite.
Was it in Syria where the video had come out?
The one that put me on the news next to Kim Jong Un. Oh,
How was that?
so somebody that went there was business insider and stuff, and people started contacting me, and somebody sent me a link, and there was this video of me on Facebook. I don't have Facebook, and it had like 600,000 views, and I'm looking at it, and it was all in Arabic.
Right.
And I'm going, what does that say? And then Kim Jong Un popped up, and I'm like, this can't be good. Whatever this is, this cannot be good. And it says that I travelled to Syria to meet Assad's men, but instead of polishing their egos, I exposed their corruption, and they're now actively looking for me. And that was on the news as well in Dubai, and I think a couple other places, and I'm like, that's not good.
Jeez.
But they can print it, they can post or do whatever they want, and some people might think I went over there to discredit or make Syria look bad, and that's not the case.
Which could have been hard for you in that position while you're in the country as well.
It can cause you a lot of problems. There's some articles out as well about me. I think one's like the terror tourist or something. And I'm like, that doesn't go well. Like,
no.
people think that I'm chasing war zones. I've just the way it is like, at the minute, even if the country's at a war, it sounds terrible, but it probably wouldn't put me off going to the country to visit the country.
Yeah.
So they're just taking that as I'm chasing war zones and stuff like that. So they can print what they want, and it's not always good. Some people say, like there's no bad publicity, but I don't know if I agree with that.
No, 100%. If you're in a country like that where tensions are high and somebody just puts something out saying you're saying a certain thing, it's very hard for you to pull that back and be like, that isn't the case.
Aye.
More so when people are ready to make a snap judgment and go, I knew it. I knew that's why he was here, or
Aye.
Yeah, that would put me off for life, mate. I'm not going to lie to you.
Aye, well, stuff like that's annoying. And that's why I'm very wary when, like, some news people contact me and they're like, oh, do you want to come on? And I'm like, what angle are you playing here?
Yeah.
Because, like, I done something recently as well with Clyde 1. What was it? Was it the Afghanistan one? And then the next day they wheeled on some Afghan refugee in Glasgow, and he's saying, don't do what this guy does. If I go to Afghanistan, they'll kill me. And I'm thinking, right, okay, they might kill you.
Yeah.
But your life's different from mine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody's got a different life and a different past and stuff. So they might kill you, but why bring that into my conversation?
We're talking about to you.
Aye. So it's stuff like that. Negativity sells, like we said.
Aye, but it's hard as well because you're, in a way, you do want that kind of option to go to the like radio press because you want to educate people on, well, this is what I found.
Yeah.
Here's the positive things, but you're worried about the spin that then gets placed on it. And as you say like that, you're trying to do a thing where you talk to a radio and then it's spun the other way to be like, oh, he shouldn't be doing this.
An example of that would be, obviously, like I said, I'm banned from America. So in 2 days, I'll need to sit down, show them the videos. Now, they go through your social media.
Aye.
They're going to go through my social media, go onto Twitter and see pictures of me with the Taliban and the Mujahideen, maybe firing guns in Pakistan. Now, I can see that they might go, hold on a minute here.
Aye.
But all I'm doing is travelling.
Yeah.
And like Azad Kashmir, there's a big gun culture. They fire guns at weddings. It's a cultural thing. So it's easy to look at something and go, this guy's dodgy. But then put a bit of context to it and you realise it's not.
Is that any different than
nobody can go to Afghanistan without speaking to the Taliban. It's impossible. Whether the West likes to, because Britain and America, they don't recognise the Taliban as a government.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to have to, because they are the government, and that's it. They've left. The Taliban are now in power. Okay, so a lot of people don't want the Taliban to be in power, but they are, and that's the bottom line. You can't go to Afghanistan without speaking to the Taliban.
Yeah, and that, I suppose that's there isn't any way around that. It's not as if you can just go in a different way, and they'll be aware of everybody that's travelling as well. Like, they're obviously in control of that part of the world. So as you say, you're going to checkpoints, they check your passport, they question you, they know it, everything. They probably know more than they're letting you know that they're aware of. So there's no way around it. You're talking about firing the guns, any different than going to Vegas and going to a firing
that's the
range
difference.
and doing the same thing?
The only difference is they've probably got a little bit more regulations and stuff, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't see... I mean, I do think that the West... I'm not saying that the Taliban have done some terrible things in the past. I spoke to them about that, and they were saying that they're trying to change, trying to turn over a new leaf and get recognised as a proper government and act accordingly. So if they're trying to do that, and they're saying they're doing it, and they're well... That's another thing. So we're talking about how they're trying to change. When I was in Afghanistan, I met a big tour group of Filipinos. They were all maybe in their mid-50s. There was about 20 of them just mooching about Afghanistan, like on a tour. The only time people see Afghanistan videos is when guys like me will post a video. Yeah. But they don't see the amount of tourists that actually go there, that don't have YouTube channels. Yeah. Or if there's something horrendous on the news. Exactly. That's the only other time that you would, you would see it. So it's like the US Embassy in Doha, they didn't know that I went to Afghanistan until it popped up on their social media. They had no information. That's why there's no embassies or consulates or anything in Afghanistan. So if anything goes wrong, they have to go through the British Embassy in Islamabad or Doha. So I can see why they'd be a little bit worried for a British citizen to be walking about there. Because it's hard to sort it out. Yeah, if something happens. Like, my friend's just been released after 8 months. He was in Taliban custody for 8 months. They thought he was a spy. So just a traveller as well? I was supposed to go with him. Right. And he went a couple of days before me. And when he got there, they arrested him. They kept him for 8 months. Stuff like that give you the fear? Well, when that first happened, I was like, at one point, I'm like, oh, thank God I wasn't there. But I spoke to him while I was in captivity, phoned me. I was like, how's things? He's like, mate, totally fine. He's like, we're sitting watching like Rambo and Titanic and that at night with the Taliban. Right. They're bringing me food, like, they're not been bad, and we're just sitting chatting. And I'm like, right, but he'd done that for 8 months. So by the end of it, he was starting to climb the walls. So how did he end up getting released? Did they just make a decision, or they went through? Well, he got detained with several other people. Right. Okay. And one of the guys that he went with, and now this guy, he didn't really know. He knew of him on social media, and the guy says, "Look, can I come to Afghanistan with you?" He took him to Afghanistan. The Taliban then arrested him at a checkpoint. Right. And that guy's obviously he's worried sick, so he's like, "Oh, Miles could be a spy." So he told the Taliban that Miles could be a spy. Taliban let the 2 guys go after like 2 weeks, right, and kept Miles for 8 months. Jeez, that's a long time. But me and Miles are going back to Afghanistan in a couple of weeks. So is he, because that's happened to him, what is there, is he allowed back in, like, no issues? He asked him, look, can I come back? I love the country. Yep, you're welcome back. We'll also give you safe passage up to the Tora Bora Mountains where Bin Laden was hiding out. Right. So we'll come back in a couple of weeks to go up to the mountains where Bin Laden was. See, I would have the full fear. If I'd spent 8 months being detained, I'd be like, I could get to one of these checkpoints and they could be like, no, we're keeping you again. I said that to him. I said, what would you do if we go back and you need to do another 8 months? And he's like, oh, don't say that. But they've assured him, like, we've looked into you, like, we apologise. They even said the reason this took so long is because your government doesn't recognise us as a proper government, therefore we need to go through different channels to negotiate and talk and stuff. So if they did have embassies and consulates here, it would have been far quicker. Yeah, to do. But they said it's totally fine because in the area, I believe, where the mountains are, a big threat in Afghanistan at the minute is ISIS. They fight the Taliban. Yeah. So the Taliban are constantly fighting with ISIS, and that's the biggest threat to tourists in Afghanistan, I believe, is ISIS. Have you had any contact on that side of things? No, I did have someone reach out and I arranged a meeting with them, but my fixer, he hit the para
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we can't do this. They'll take you away.
Different ball game, innit?
He reckons that ISIS is the proper different.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Taliban find ISIS extremists. That's mad.
Which tells its own story as well, doesn't it?
Exactly. I like when I first heard that, I was like, what? Because everybody automatically thinks that the Taliban are the worst. Again, like I said, I'm not advocating, like, saying the Taliban are amazing.
No,
or anything,
100%.
But they know they've done some wrong things, but they are trying to change.
Yeah. And I suppose when your fixer says to you, I don't think you should do this, do you go with that, or do you still think, no, let's see if we can...
Sometimes with that one, it was like he was in control of the situation, so I didn't have a choice but just to say, right, okay, fine.
Aye.
I was going to go to Lebanon recently, and I had someone reach out to me, and I had a meeting lined up with Hezbollah, and that was just before this kicked off in Israel.
Right.
And they sent me a WhatsApp message a couple of weeks ago saying, I like, as much as they're sort of friendly with Hezbollah, they don't trust them. They reckon that they would have took me away.
Jeez.
So, and then sure enough, a couple of days later on the news, Hezbollah has joined the war and stuff. I'm like, oh, thank God.
And I suppose it's, do messages like that stick with you? Like if you did go there, they would just take you away.
It does. I mean, I like to look positive on things, but in the back of your mind, you're like, right, okay, you've got to be prepared.
Aye.
And that's like I say to people as well. See, if something happens to me, it's on me. It's not on anybody else. It's not on like, it's like when we do the votes on Twitter and people are voting for me to go to like Somalia or Ukraine or whatever. And I tell people like, if anything happens, it's on me. Nobody's dragging me there.
No. And that's the thing, because you get a lot of people, and you've probably had it in your DMs and messages, you get a lot of people meshing and going, oh, he's off, he's not, blah, blah, blah. But you're making a conscious choice to go and you're an adult. Do you know what I mean? It's not as if you're saying, everybody come and do this. You're like, I'm doing it.
Aye.
I'm doing it because I want to do it. I'm not asking you to do it.
Aye. I mean, I would encourage anybody if they're able to travel and learn about different cultures and explore. But I'm not telling people to go to the front lines in Ukraine and jump in these places and do what I'm doing. I mean, I'm not telling them not to do it. I'm just saying to see if it feels right and like you've sorted it out and you can do it. Then why not?
I have noticed now, and you probably notice it more. There is a lot of kind of travellers appearing now on socials that are going to different countries and different things. But I suppose that's a reinforcement for you as well, that there is people watching and going, do you know what? I'm going to go and try that and see a bit of the world.
I got a message last night, and I got another one this morning that was like, I think I posted it on my Instagram wall, and it was like, oh, we were watching Callum's videos. Thanks to Callum, we're now travelling the world, and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's pretty good. It's good that somebody's actually looked at it and went, I'm going to do that as well. I would highly recommend if you can. I know it's not possible. Some people have families and they've got kids now, and they're in a position where it's not easy. But if you ever do get the chance to travel, I would highly recommend it, because it does open up your eyes. Yeah.
Do you get people messaging you for like advice on that they maybe want to go and do it? And
my inbox is full with people. People also asking to come with me.
Oh really? Just a lot, just random.
Oh mate, I love your videos. I would love to come with you. I've got a guy messaged me at the weekend saying, I'm going to Ukraine. I'm going to Ukraine in a couple of days because I watched your videos. Me and my mate are going. 2 guys for Edinburgh. We'd love if you could come with us. And I'm like, I says, well, I'm going to be in Belgium. I says, if I can make it, I'll come over and meet you in Odessa and that. And they're doing exactly the same trip that I'd done, and all because they watched the videos. Now, I'm reading that going, right, hopefully nothing goes wrong. Like, obviously I never told them to go, but they've watched that and they've been inspired by it, and now they want to go and see something. So to me, it's also a good thing.
100%. What advice do you give to these guys that do message you and say, oh, can I...
Well, usually if somebody messages me and they're going somewhere that I've been, and if I've got any connections or contacts, I'll usually put them in touch. And see if they can help them, give them advice, or meet up with them. At least that way they've got a connection to the place they're going, just in case anything happens or anything like that. But I do try and help them, or tell them the best sort of place to go or the best area to stay in, maybe somewhere to sort of watch out for. So I do try and help as best as I can. But like I said, anything can happen. You can go to Benidorm and get glassed. Do you know what I mean? You can get, anything can happen anywhere. So it's on people to make that choice for themselves.
Definitely. What about, see, from like going to all these places, what's the kind of biggest learning that you've taken away from a country, or an instant you've kind of went left and it's stuck with you?
That's a good question, because I mean, there has been times when I've been travelling. It's like a lot of the countries that I travel to are Islamic, and a lot of these countries have got like bad reputations for like extremist groups, like Al-Shabaab in Somalia, Iraq's ISIS. You do have some sort of rogue Taliban outfits in Pakistan, stuff like that. And when you go and spend time with even like these extremists and you speak to them, you do realise that, okay, they've got a different opinion and a different look in life, but honestly, people across the world are just the same.
Yeah.
They just want the same things. And I think just speaking to people, and a lot of people think when you go to these countries, like I said, they're lined up and they want to kill you.
Yeah.
And I've learned that's not really the case. Okay, you're going to have bad people everywhere.
Yeah.
But I do think the majority of people in the world are friendly and kind and hospitable. And I would never have thought that.
Yeah.
Hadn't I packed a bag and travelled the world. Easy to look online, look at all the bad videos and think, oh, I'm never going there. They're terrible. People forget though. People forget about it's like, I say, the British government will say, oh, we advise you don't go to Somalia, or don't go here, don't go there. Have we just to forget about all the ordinary, decent people in the country?
Yeah.
Just because there's a very small minority, like extremist group. And so it's like, I honestly think as well, the West, some of the Western governments have got this thing where, okay, we'll just show negativity of that place all the time, because if anything kicks off in the future, it'll justify why we're there.
Yeah.
And we just we've just to forget about all the innocent, decent people in these countries.
Aye. And I suppose for you as well, from a cultural point of view, you're getting right in depth to people who are, as you say, they're different religions, maybe different belief systems, but essentially they're all just the same. As you going out there try to...
It's like I've been invited to a few different things. So there's a cannibal tribe, Papua New Guinea,
right?
To spend time when this guy's dying. Somebody in the tribe's dying, and I've been invited to go and spend, like, if I time it right, they'll then eat him.
Right.
And
jeez.
So to us and people listening might go, what?
Right.
But it's a culture. This is what they do. It's their culture. There's the bestiality tribes in South Sudan. Make of that what you will. To us, it's crazy. Now you drop somebody from the village in remote Pakistan into the Glasgow city centre nightclub on a Saturday night, and everybody's partying and drinking and going off their head. They'll be like, "What's this?
Aye, where have I landed?"
Aye, so it's different. It's a different culture. But I can see why some people be like, "Oh, that's."
Aye.
But then you flip it round and you say, well, what would they think of us? And some of the stuff that goes on here in Scotland.
Yeah.
So there's two ways to look at it.
And I suppose that it's that whole judgment piece as well, because when you were doing the Colombia one and you were spending time with the Escobar family, and you look at the comments online and people are like, oh, but he was a criminal and things, and from your point of view, his family weren't. Like, yeah, he was obviously, he done what he done, and he made his money and whatever, but you're spending time with the people that dealt with the fallout of that situation rather than so sometimes people don't separate the two. It's like you're promoting criminality and whatever, but when you look at it, you're like, well, I'm speaking to the guy's family, I'm not promoting anything. I'm talking to people that have dealt with that situation. Yeah,
I mean, Roberto Escobar, he was on America's Most Wanted list as well. He's done a lot of bad things, but just to speak to these people and have a chat and like learn about like what they think and what they feel and what they think now, looking back, stuff like that. I mean, if Tony Blair's been able to walk about the EU at the minute and do speeches and get paid a fortune, and he's killed more people than anybody else, then that is what it is, isn't it? Yeah. Like, I'm not... It doesn't, if people say, oh, you shouldn't be speaking to him, well, I like to make my own mind up on who I should speak to. I would speak to most people, and I don't, like... You'll never know unless you ask questions. No. If you get the opportunity, then... I would say take it. Yeah.
They ask you a lot about Scottish culture?
I said Roberto Escobar told me he's got a lot of friends in Scotland. And I remember he said that to me, and I was like, who is friends with Roberto Escobar? And I'm racking my brains here. I'm like, there's got to be some shady characters in Scotland. But he's like, oh, we from Scotland. He's like, I've got a lot of good friends in Scotland. I'm like, right. I'm just thinking, who could that be?
I suppose, strange. But you must get that in most countries, because there is a kind of romantic notion about Scotland to people in other countries.
A lot of people think, a lot of foreign people always say, oh, can you make videos in Scotland?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're ready for that. Like walking about Glasgow on a Saturday night making content. I don't think I'm ready for that either.
No.
But a lot of people have got this image of Scotland. It's like the rolling hills and everybody wears kilts and we all, like it's all nice.
It's like Braveheart.
Aye, and it's there is some nice places in Scotland, no doubt about
Yeah.
it. But I think some people's idea of Scotland's a lot different to the reality.
Aye.
A lot different.
Let's say we spoke about obviously you getting your nuts grabbed on a stairwell and getting nearly robbed of your phone, but any kind of genuinely funny moments you've had that you look back and you're like, that was class, like that was absolutely class that happened?
Funny moments. Well, I travelled to this. Remember the guy I told you at Islamabad Airport that invited me down to his village?
Yep.
I went to the village and the first day I went a wee walk, and then I got back to the house and he's like, "Oh, by the way, there's rumours going about the village that you're a spy." There's a lot of the elders are telling everybody, like, don't trust this guy, he's a spy. Obviously, I'm walking about with a camera.
Right, okay.
I'm like, right. And these rumours were sort of persistent all week. Like, so I stuck it out in the village for 2 weeks, and by the end of it, I was invited to the village chief's wedding. I'm on the stage and I'm up dancing. They're all throwing money over me and stuff like that. I thought, you know what, that's pretty good. I'm glad I stuck that out. And I remember sitting there, and I remember saying to my mate, and I was laughing about it because I'm like, 2 weeks ago, a lot of people would have sort of went, right, I'm off. Like if they're calling me a spy, I need to get out of here. But again, just stuck it out, and before you know it, I'm at the village chief's wedding on stage.
It's amazing how we rumours start though. When somebody like new turns up somewhere and they see the camera and they're like, he's going to be a spy. A
lot of people like that were looking at the camera. What's the camera? Why would you want to come here and video this? Like, people don't realise in these countries that in the West it's so different. Like, we've not got that sort of village life, like proper old school village life. And to us it's fascinating, but to them they would think, why would you want to come here and not be in the West where it's all
you've got everything.
They don't understand that, a lot of people. So I don't blame them for being a little bit curious or thinking, why is he here? So no, I mean, it's just speaking to people. Explain what you do, maybe show them some pictures, show them the videos, and then they sort of loosen up a bit.
Seeing the other side of it, when you were talking about Ukraine earlier, and obviously you're going there and you're seeing mass devastation. How do you switch off of that? Because stuff like that will stay in your head for a long period. You're seeing things that you shouldn't really see, in the sense of like people dying and the aftermaths.
But within a Russian helmet and a bit of brain.
Yeah, how do you part that and kind of not forget about it, but try and move on and keep going with it, because stuff like that must be quite harrowing.
It is. It's sad. I mean, when I was seeing the dead animals and stuff getting pulled out of the water, and the animals were sitting shaking. In fact, I put a video on Twitter, and it's like the animals just shaking. It just looks as if, like, what's going on here? And at that point, I'm thinking to myself, is it them that's animals, or is it us? When you look at the chaos round about you. But spoke to Ukrainian women who lost their houses, lost everything. And then I think to myself, well, okay, I can feel sad, but for me to like get really, really sad and down about this, considering they've lost everything. So I try and put it into that perspective, and I try to think, right, okay, well, at least I'm showing people the reality here, and if they can help in any way, then that would be good. So I'm highlighting the issue as well, but it certainly doesn't leave you. Some of the stuff that I've seen, it doesn't leave you.
And it must, even going there, must have attracted attention as well, given the situation that was going on at the time. I did. I think I'm trying to think if there's any. I had a few news people reach out to me as well. Why are you there? We're going to do a piece on you. Blah blah blah. And it's like Odessa, for example. Odessa's a beautiful city. Beautiful. During the day, it's pretty chilled out. There's still cafes and restaurants. People can post a picture of that online, and people saying, "See, there's no war there." But at night, when the sirens are going off and the missiles are landing, it totally changes. There is some people say, like, going back to the terror tourist. You're just doing that to... And I'm like, I'm just showing the reality. You know, and it's that's it. I'm just showing people what it's like. Some people just... It doesn't sit right with some people that I'm prepared to go to a country if they're at war or they're not at war. It won't make a difference to me. If I'm going, I'm going, and that's it. And if you go during the war, or you go when there's chaos happening, you're seeing the reality, and that's it. Some people can't fathom that. They think I'm chasing that. If I go somewhere and there's something kicking off,
so be it.
Yeah. And do you switch off for the social media side of it? Because that can get toxic.
When I first started traveling, there was like negativity and stuff, and I'm like,
yeah.
I would try not bite back.
Yeah.
And I think now I don't bite back now. I just go, yeah, everybody's entitled to an opinion.
Yeah.
That's it. So people can say what they want. A lot of people, like you said, we're speaking off camera about how a lot of the negative comments come from profiles that don't have any picture or they're hiding.
Aye.
So I mean, they can say what they want. They can do what they want. I'm the guy that's waking up most mornings in a new city, a new location, and meeting new people every day. So if that's me doing the wrong thing, then I'm happy to do it.
So be it. How long, when you're back, can you kind of last before the itchy feet start and you're...
About a week.
Really?
When I come back, I'm like, oh, this is good. We're chilling. I'll maybe I don't really drink on my travels.
Right.
So I'll go to the pub, we'll chill out. I'll eat all sorts of... I'll be eating everything: McDonald's, kebabs, Chinese, rolls and sausage, bottles of iron brew. And I'll put on the weight for a bit. I'll just eat and eat and eat and eat. And I'll be like, right, I need to go. It's like a lot of... When you're in Scotland, and I'm not saying this is everybody's friends group, I find that the only time you really see your mates is when you're going out to get a drink.
Yeah.
Most people socialise when they go to the boozer. In these other countries, most people go out and they'll just go out any day just to sit and have tea or just to take a walk. The streets in like Pakistan are always lively. Street vendors, there's stuff happening. Tuk-tuks, the sound of the beating tuk-tuks. You come back to Scotland, it's people go to work Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
After work during the week, they'll just go in, get their dinner, chill for a couple of hours and go to bed. And then at the weekend, they'll go out and get smashed. And then they'll go back to the work on the Monday. Whereas I feel that in different countries, it's always lively.
Aye, there's something going on. And do you try all the food and all that? Do you get right into the kind of...
I've had some dodgy stuff. I've had testicles in Cairo. I had testicles. I had testicles on the streets of Lahore. A little bit chewy.
Oh.
So they were. The worst thing I've ate is brain. I had brain on the streets of Lebanon.
Jeez.
And I tried it with no salt and lemon on it. And it was disgusting. It was terrible. And the guy's like, oh, no, put some salt and lemon on it. Put the salt and lemon on it. It was exactly the same. It was terrible. I'm like, who's eating this? So I had this wee box of brains and I took them back up to the hotel in Lebanon. I'm just sitting looking at them and I ended up spewing up.
Oh,
it was horrendous. Some of the food. I've had camel in Syria. Camel neck. Had that in Syria. That was not bad. That was just like a kebab. But brain was not good at all. I don't know how these cannibal tribes in Papua New Guinea are. I don't know how that's going to taste as well.
But in saying that, if you'd had like a kebab here or something, there's probably no much of a difference, to be fair. Some dodgy outlets in Glasgow.
Had somebody a sausage supper or something.
Aye. These like, no, just give me the brain.
Aye.
If you can tell us what's on the plans for the next few months, what have you got coming up?
I've just been approved. There was a vote held on one of the travellers' sites, and they've given me permission to go and live with them. I'm going to be able to go to work with them.
Right.
Videoed the bare knuckle fights and a few other things that I can't mention just now, but go and live with the traveller community in Scotland.
Nice.
So that's coming up. Come back to Afghanistan and I've got this meeting in a couple of days for America. If I get that visa, I'll do a couple of months in America.
Nice.
I've got some really good contacts over there that should bring some good content. So there's a few things. The travellers, America, Afghanistan, Papua New Guinea's on the cards as well.
Right.
So there's a few things. The Darien Gap. Darien Gap's one of the most dangerous trails on the planet.
Aye.
It's run by the cartels. It's how people, if anybody's wondering, it's like how people make the journey to try and get into the US. That's lingering about as well. So I think it's going to be one of them. Nice.
Any countries that you've not been to yet that you want to, or any places that you really want to go and do at some point?
I would love to go to North Sentinel Islands.
Right.
Obviously, it's like nobody's allowed to go there anymore. It's off limits. There's a tribe that live on there. The last person that went, the tribe, they tried to promote Christianity.
I actually read about this the other day.
They just took the Bible off them and killed them.
Aye.
In fact, somebody done an article. Was it Unilad or something? Done an article on me the other day about it. There's people say, "Oh, don't go. You're going to give them diseases. You could kill them." That's true. But I think any sort of extreme travels that I speak to, North Sentinel Island's that's the one you want to do. So whether I get there or not, hopefully one day I'll get there. I'd like to.
Aye.
I think that would be amazing.
That would be
I watched
class.
something recently. There was a guy who met this uncontacted tribe,
Mm-hmm.
and they're looking at him. He's white, and obviously they're black, and they're touching him, and they're scared, and they're showing him like a lighter, they're showing him matches and stuff, and they're like dead shocked. And I'm like, it'd be amazing to have that experience with some of these
100%.
people. But again, you don't want to put anybody's life at risk.
Yeah. North Korea would be good or not.
North Korea's closed at the minute. I've been emailing almost weekly. When
Try
you
and go.
open, they closed during COVID,
Right.
and they never opened back up.
Right.
There's whispers now that they are opening back up. They've let a few Chinese tourists in.
Mm-hmm.
So I contacted some tour guides and like companies in China to see if I travelled to China, could I go that way?
Mm-hmm.
And they said it's still not open to like international. It's just a few Chinese people.
Yeah.
As soon as that opens, I'll be there with bells on.
Aye, that would be amazing. I think it's more nobody really knows
A lot of people
anything.
say, oh, it's like, it's all set up, it's all staged, they only take you to where you want to, or where they want to show you.
Yeah.
I've seen people go into supermarkets in North Korea and like there's nobody there, and it's like all just set up. It's very strange.
Aye.
It's a strange country,
Yeah.
but it's fascinating as well because you see them all clapping like hysterically,
Yeah.
and you're like, are they putting that on, or are they genuinely like in their mind? Kim Jong Un is the supreme leader. He's the best thing since sliced bread.
But is that what piques your interest though? See, when you see places like that where you don't really know what's behind the...
I mean, it's like, I would like to go and see that.
Aye.
I think I'm a good, like, I can look at someone and say, aye, that's staged, or no, that's real, and just speak to people
Aye.
and see what they think.
Aye.
North Korea is a very mysterious country. Not many people get to go there. But believe it or not, there's a lot of, there is tour groups that go there. Prior to COVID, there was big tour groups that go. It's a weird country.
Aye.
I think a lot of people are interested to know how like, the one thing, like I say, that always gets me is that when they're clapping and when they see Kim Jong Un and it's like they're overcome with emotion, they're crying. I'm like, are they just doing that?
Aye.
Just to, like, you know, just to, or do they genuinely feel that love and admiration for the leader?
What do they actually know about the outside world? Like outside.
Well, that's the other thing, that they don't really, they're almost cut off completely. So they're not. I don't know what their internet as well. I think their internet's limited.
It's probably heavily monitored, isn't it?
I think it's very limited to what information they can get as well. So it's be good to speak to these people and say, like, do you know about this? Do you know about that? And see what they come back
That'll
with.
be class. The traveller one will be class as well, because that's probably another section of society that polarises a lot of opinion from various people.
Yeah, it's like it's a very closed off community. It's hard to like penetrate and get involved with them. Again, a lot of people think, oh, like you've heard all the words that travellers get called, and they're all criminals, they do this, they do that. I'm not saying there's not. Of course there's criminality involved with some of the traveller communities, but with that, I've seen some stuff, and you see their wives at home, they're very house proud. It'd be good to speak to them. How does it work with school in this modern time? Do the kids go to school? Because a lot of travellers now don't move about.
Yeah.
They've got their static caravan, it stays there and that's it. So it's interesting to speak to these people. And with the bare knuckle fighting, like, obviously some people would frown upon that. Well, that's terrible. But it's their culture. It's what they
Tradition.
do.
Aye.
So it'd be interesting to see this, speak to them about it, and see how they feel in modern times.
Yeah.
How the modern society is affecting the way they want to live.
Aye. Mate, this has been class. It's been good to actually... I watch the videos, but it's been good to actually speak to you as well, because it does dispel that thing of, I'm just going here to show you this and I'm just going to jump on, there's something going on, I'm going to go there and film it. It is more than that, because you're going to then speak to people who are wanting to learn about things, they want to know about other things outside their country, they're wanting people to know about their country and the good people that are there. So yeah, I don't think it's any sort of negative at all what you're doing. It's a educational thing for most people.
I think so. I mean, the main thing, I'm getting educated.
Aye.
Like I said, it's the best education I've ever had, is actually going out and speaking to people in the world.
Yeah.
And if people can look at this and it might change a few perceptions, then happy days. That's good enough for me.
Definitely. Brilliant, mate. Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
Appreciate it. Yes.